What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ariel, if you didn't know. Today's video is going to be all about setting boundaries and policies with your clients. This is something I think a lot of people struggle with. So I just want to get into this one. So let's just get into it. Okay, so tip number one is all about setting your ground rules. What I mean by setting your ground rules is basically setting up your personal space. This is your sanctuary. This is your basically home, no matter whether if you're in a home studio or an actual studio or salon, whatever the case is, it is your baby. So at the end of the day, you have to set some ground rules. Ground rules such as time, place, communication, these things are all important. Knowing exactly what time your client needs to be there, you both need that clear communication. Your client needs to know her appointment is for 12 o'clock. It needs to be communicated from one source. So that means once they book on your app, communicate through email. If you guys are communicating through text, communicate through text. Send everything through one source. That way you have a paper trail, you're able to reference back. They're able to check it quickly if they can, if they need to. It's just easier. They can grab your address, they can grab your time, policies, whatever the case is. Try to do it through one source of communication. It just gets confusing that way. And you kind of set yourself up more so for errors in the sense of having different sources of communication. Along with that is also when you're in this process, this allows you to filter out those potential clients that you just may not want. No matter what I said, like it's home, it's a salon, this is your space and you definitely don't want to bring clients in here that you just don't want to have. That means that sometimes your energy is just so much more important and you don't want to have clients that are gonna drain your energy. You don't want that negativity coming in. You obviously don't want clients that are just not actual clients and people are sketchy and you gotta filter that out. So one thing for me actually, even when I was lashing from home, I was super skeptical about the people I let in. Just because like when you get a DM and the DM is from somebody unknown, they have no followers, no pictures, they have no even display photo, they're private, like all these weird things. It's I know it sounds kind of shady, but they are coming off as shady and you definitely don't want to put yourself in a situation that you could have easily avoided by asking the right questions and filtering them out through a little bit of a screening process before you actually book them. Another thing too, especially with timing, is like, especially if you are a home-based lash artist, you cannot have clients showing up after a certain hour. Like let's say your client's like, hey, can I come in right now? And it's like 10:30, like that's just ridiculous. I think I've said this in a previous video as well, but somebody messaged me and they were like, oh, can I come at 11 tomorrow? And I was like, sure, 11 a.m. They're like, no, 11 p.m. And I was like, what? Like, no, like you have your own personal time, like regardless, even if you're home or not home. I'm pretty sure you don't want to stay in your salon till like 12, 1 o'clock in the morning. I mean, unless you do, then like, you know, that's cool too. But if you don't, you need to set those boundaries and let them know like my cutoff time is 6 o'clock. If you cannot book before 6 or at 6, therefore you can't have an appointment, or we need to figure out a better time frame for you, maybe a weekend, just something that works for both people, but they have to respect your time too, right? Okay, so number 2 is all about having consistency with your policies. So this one is actually super important and I think it gets broken very easily, especially when you have clients that are trying to almost like persuade you in a little way. Sometimes we're not as, I guess, like strong-minded as we should be or as firm as we should be, and this actually ends up backfiring on us even though we may be trying to help them out in the moment. What I'm trying to say is that basically when you have a client that comes in and you know your policy is this, like you need to stand your ground and you need to let them know like, hey, this is my policy, this is what it is. Unfortunately, I can't accommodate. At the end of the day, consistency is key, because what's gonna happen is if you break the rules, and this is honestly, a lot of the times this is more so for newer clients or inconsistent clients, if you break your policy or you give in to their little, whatever it is they're trying to do, chances are it's gonna be a lot harder for you to come back from that than to actually maintain them kind of going through with the way that things are supposed to be. Because what happens is if you break that once, they come back and they're like, hey, you did it for me that last time, I think I can do it again. And honestly, just stick to your policy. Okay, so number 3 are your non-negotiables. Your non-negotiables are the things that are set in stone, the things that you are super, super strict on, the things that are like my way or the highway. Like these things are what make or break your business. Things that consist in your non-negotiables are things like your deposits. Deposits, I'm talking a real deposit. I'm talking about when you send me a deposit to lock in your date. That is a non-refundable deposit, not a deposit where you send it and then the next day you message me at 8 a.m. about your 9 a.m. appointment and say, hey, I'm so sorry, I'm too hungover, I cannot come to my appointment, can you send me back my deposit? No, Susan, no, that is not a non-refundable deposit. You need to reschedule your appointment. Another non-negotiable would be your late time. People have different types of late times. It can be like you have a grace period of 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I've seen some people where they have like, if you're 10 minutes after like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, then like you get charged every like minute after. And then once it's like to like 20 minutes, then your appointment gets canceled immediately. A lot of people kind of vary in terms of what this policy looks like for them, but it is a non-negotiable. If you cannot show up on time for your appointment, you have to basically face the consequences, because it's not just your time that you're dealing with my time. As a lash artist, your time is valuable. You can replace that time with a lot of different things, especially when you're home. I feel like you can do a lot. So do not waste your lash tech's time. So when we're talking about no-shows, I get very upset about no-shows. I'm sure a lot of you do. And unfortunately, sometimes they happen very commonly and sometimes they happen back to back. But with no-shows, I mean, like for me, it's 2 times or you're out, you're blacklisted, you can't come back, because now you're wasting my time, you're canceling someone else's time that could have come for their appointment that actually wanted an appointment. I think it's very, very disrespectful for people to no-show, especially if they have no valid reason or they're just doing it multiple times. Some people just don't care. Another thing with that is your deposits are super important, so that way that people are not or less inclined to no-show. So definitely put something in place for no-shows. Okay, so number 4 is all about where to put your policies. Your policies are great to have in place. People need to read them, they need to know about them, they need to know about them in many steps of the booking process. And you want to make sure that you put your policies in front of your clients, your potential clients, enough so that they can't come back to you and say, hey, I didn't see this policy, I wasn't aware. You need to make sure that they are aware at every stage of your booking process. Places that you can put your policies. Place number 1 that you want to walk them through. So you got to think about how they book. So if you get a lot of clients through Instagram, which is where most people get their clients, you want to basically follow that step. At least if they see it at least one step, you know that you did your job. So first step, putting it in your highlight reel. If you put it in your highlight reel, that way you're able to maybe put the policy out there for those first time clients that literally just come straight onto your page and they can go ahead and click the policies immediately. First time they're seeing your policy. You want to put your policies somewhere in your booking app. Doesn't matter where, whatever booking app it is, as long as it's in there. A lot of booking apps allow you to put policies in there so that they can actually see it while they're booking. So you want to make sure the policies are clear for them to see. Once they book their appointment, you are obviously going to send them some sort of confirmation message. So no matter how that confirmation message gets to them, you want that to be included with a policy. So whether you email it, whether you text it, you need to make sure that you're reiterating your policy, so that way you know for sure once they read that confirmation message, they are made fully aware of your policies and you can reference back to that. Okay guys, so that is it for this video. I hope that it was helpful. I hope that you guys pick something up about policies and boundaries. I know that this is something a lot of us struggle with, especially beginner lash artists. I know sometimes it's hard when you really want to get clients coming in and you don't care where they're coming from, you just really want them to come in. But as you kind of go along the motions and you realize that not every client is a good client, sometimes not having that client at all is better than having a client that stresses you out or kind of just upsets your mood or just ruins a lot for you. You don't want the bad experience, so it's better to do what you can to eliminate that and kind of basically have the right people come to you. So I can go on and on about policies, but I've actually created a list for you guys to go through, and you can kind of filter through all the policies that apply to you or don't apply to you, and you can kind of build your policies and your boundaries based on that. So you guys can click the link below and check that out. So if you guys like this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll be back with something new next time. Bye.